Okay, so कल क्या cover किए थे? What we have covered yesterday? Employee Central introduction to the data models, right? To
Right.
start with corporate data,
MDF object.
yeah, which way MDF objects has been separated from corporate data model, which we'll be configuring in instance, right? This is what we have
Right.
discussed. So, what is the action name to configure an MDF object in instance? Configure object definition, right?
Right.
And the values are maintained in managed data, right?
Yes.
So configuration of any object is the same. We have done the legal entity. For example, if we see the legal entity, we have done how to enter the attributes of this basically. So now we'll be looking into the fields of how we'll be creating. So for that, let us first create a custom MDF object. Okay. So as there is no sub-department over here, subdivision, let us create a custom MDF object subdivision. You can check if subdivision is available or not. Subdivision is there, okay. Let us first let us delete it. So for example, I want to create a subdivision for our entity, say ITC subdivision. You can name it. How you will be able to create? You have to create new object definition. Okay. Just go to create new object definition as we are creating code. The code is you don't have any spaces in code, right? Code is unique. You don't have
Yes.
any spaces in code. So
Yes.
you have to give, for example, ITCs underscore subdivision. Don't make any spaces. It will be again violation of naming convention. So code, it will not, first of all, it will not allow you to save. It will show an error. So ITC subdivision. Make sure that code is not the label which will be seen to the users. So code is unique for our reference. And then effective dated. See, whenever you're creating cust object, automatically cust will be once you move it out, automatically cust will be named before that. Okay. That's the identification. So effective dating means we are creating a independent object, not dependent. Or this sub-department, department and all are independent. Without that also, without associations also in managed data, we can update the values. Okay. So we'll be maintaining from independent means what we have to select? Basic.
Basic.
Yes, basic. Now API visibility is editable. Make it as editable because it is for integration consultant. MDF history, we are just deleting the history. And then default screen will be not using default screen. I have told you how default screen is to be done. And this, don't touch this. This will by default, it will create the versions basically. This is for integration purpose. And then we'll be not using this subject user field because we are creating in here. We are not meant, we don't, our intention is not to bring it to the portlet basically in employee files. So here for the values creation, we are updating it. So workflow routing and all will be not doing here. To do, we have to do to generic object. Don't select anything in object category. Let it be like this. We'll be not selecting, categorizing basically. All users are authorized irrespective of the permissions. We have to give the permissions of this object. Okay. Now, these are the fields. Two fields are by default given to you. External code and thing. External code means you can say sub-department code also. You can name it as sub-department code. So in order to update any other details, you have to go to detail. And then I'll be making this fields basically name, code name should not be changed because it is by default, it is created code name. So let it be the same. Data type. This data type I will explain you right now after this. What are these? String means alphanumeric. So you can enter any open text in this field. So this will be not using hide old value. No, because there is no old value anyways. Decimal precision is used for compensation and all. So decimals we are not using. Include inactive users. No. UI field renderer. I will explain you later what it means basically. And then transient, this will be not using. In my career, I have never used this transient, so ignore it. Mention, let it be by default. No. And help text means, suppose if you want, if you might have seen question mark beside some fields. If you click it, it is coming, means what about the field and all, to get knowledge about the field. If you want that user to enter help text here for the user to read that particular thing, means what this field is about, means for example, I'll be mentioning enter the code without spaces, for example. Okay, user don't know, suppose. So this I will show you in the front end how it will be using. Private or sensitive means if you select yes, then it will come like in stars. Until and unless you click on show, it will not show you. So this will be not. Then default value is the same as label. So directly update the label, no problem. This label. So hide seconds, this will be not using. This is for compensation module, hide seconds. And required yes or no, this will be using required yes or no. Basically, if you select yes, then it is yes. Generally, external code is required. It is by default, it is required. In case if you want to any other field, if you add any custom field, if you can just select whether it is required, it will come in this star mark. Okay, like visibility. So here in visibility, whether you can decide whether this field is editable, not visible, or read only. Read only means it will be only read only, not visible means they will hide the field basically. And then status is active. Label is like it is external code, means while we are maintaining ITC subdepartment code, for example, subdivision code. So code name also write code, and then cascade we are not, this both we are not using. End of the period, let it be no by default. This is nowhere, this we are not using. It is a new feature by the success factors which is not in use, basically inactivated by there. You can't even able to select this, so ignore it. Basically will be you concentrating on these fields, important these fields, and this valid value source and all. If you are selecting any foundation object or generic object, then you can whatever object you have created, you can create them, you can link them as a field over here. So in the drop down, those objects will reflect. Slowly we'll be going through those things. Okay, no problem. So understood what all the things I have updated right now.
Yes, sir.
This, select the globe, just write the translation, that's it. Rules, field criteria, all these are our next coming topics. this condition values and all. This I'll be explaining in our coming topics. Okay, for what purpose they'll be used. So right now I'm just mentioning done, and then in external name, let the code be the same. Data will be the open text means screen is string. Sorry, you can enter alphanumeric anything. So this many things are not required. If you this is optional basically. So what we have to mention is directly the label. Visibility will be editable only. Label I'll be mentioning ITC subdivision name. Just a second. Okay. And I'm creating the external code, external name, effective start date. This means from which effective start date. There's no need to change anything. Just a label mention effective start date means from when. These three fields are by default created. Just mention over here. Done. So if you want to add any fields, I will show you how it will be adding. Let us just concentrate with this field. Name, effective start date, external code. This is sub-department name basically. What name will be giving? Subdivision basically. So let us just mention ITC subdivision. So I will explain you this. Let me just save these rules and all in the rule class. I will explain you. Now here secured is yes. If I saved it with yes, then see what will happen. Okay. I will explain the significance of that secured basically. I have secured it, but I have not categorized it. Now, if I want to search ITC subdivision in managed data, ITC, it is not showing. Why? Because now see, if I just mention this secured to no, then what will happen? You can either keep yes or no. Now, if I select this ITC, it is coming. Anyways, we have not created anything, so no result. You can create it from here. The values basically in managed data, but why it is coming previously, why it was not coming? Because we have mentioned is yes. Now we have mentioned no. Anybody will have the who have the access to manage data, this action name, they can use this. They can use this object and they can use it for themselves. But Management says no, certain objects should have permissions because it is used, only certain users should only use this object. Though all users have permission to manage data action name, but only certain users only should able to see this object and use it. It is not for all. So you will be mentioning it is yes, and in permission category, you'll be mentioning the section under which it is categorized. You'll be having, as it is MDF, you'll be having categorization MDF foundation object or miscellaneous permissions, anything, but you have to remember that. For example, I have just categorized an MDF foundation object. Okay. Now, this leave it. This is basically used for if you want, it is related to this subject user. If you mention here the user and mention here user data type in order to make it available in the front end as a portlet, automatically it will, these fields will get filled. So you have to ignore these fields. So I'm just you have to concentrate secured yes and permission category MDF foundation object, and I'm saving it. See what will happen. Now if I just refresh this, and if I search ITC, it will not be visible to me. I can, if I want to create ITC, I can't able to create. What is the next step which we have to do? We have just secured this object. All the persons who have access to manage data should not use it. So that's the reason we have secured this object. But whom this object is to be authorized, this you have to decide in RBP's role-based permission. Now I'll be going to permission roles. I have taught you RBP, right? You can just revise it. All these objects, fields, and all are controlled by RBPs basically, especially objects. In succession data model, effective dated fields, some important things are there which are controlled by RBP. So you have to manage in this way. For example, I am in super admin role, system admin, not super admin, system admin role. Now I'll be going here and then it will take some time. Yeah. Now I'll be going here. I'm going to permissions. Already I'm assigned in this role. So I don't need to do anything. I need to go to permissions, and where we have categorized it in MDF foundation object. You have to view that section basically where we have categorized. Our object name is ITC subdivision. Got it? You have to give the permissions over here. All the permissions if you want the user to update without hassle free basically. If you want any field level permissions to be restricted to the users, only three. If effective start date you want only no access or read only, this only the, but as it is only three, there is no need to give field level permissions. If there are so many fields and as per the organization requirement, those fields should either division name, but division name it is a mandatory. Effective start date is also mandatory, but certain other fields are custom fields are created for that particular user. You don't want to give permission, you will be selecting this and select if you have no access, read only, etc. If the user should have no access, read only, etc. But as there is only three fields, it is not required field level overrides. Just ignore it. Now I am just giving this permission. Done and save changes. Now see, if I just refresh this, you can able to see this subdivision. Now you can create hassle-free. If I want, for example, subdivision, I want SF, PM, GM, and two employees, SF employee center, two subdivisions I want to create as per my structure. This I will be creating later, will be creating now only later. For example, this subdivision I will be creating success for SF, PM, GM, for example, success factors PM and GM. I'll be mentioning the same. Effective date, make sure it should be backdated. So for safer side, let us any object you create, just create January. Just create January 1990. So that any object if or any person you hired in it before also, so it will not create any hassle. Dates are very specific. In real time, you have to inquire these dates basically from which effective date with your organization itself. Okay. It is created. Now we'll be creating another ITC subdivision as per our structure. SF Employee Central. EC. Here I will mention Employee Center. Here also the same. $1900 and save it. This is how you have to save it. Now, if I want to add any custom field over here, for example, any date, for let me explain this date type basically. If I go to any legal entity, I was telling you, right, the date type. There are certain date types basically which are commonly used are here. Attachment means if you want to attach, autocomplete will be not using anyways, but any autocomplete you want to do means any specification or auto number is like it will be just numbering automatic. You don't need to enter it. Boolean means yes or no. It will like yes or no. Data source means you are selecting any data from data source, etc. Means you are just providing any source. This will be not using generally. Date means date, it will be in a date format. Effective date you said. Date time means it will be in date time format. Decimal means it will decimal. Enum means you can see here any if you are having anything in enum. Effective status basically. Label is status. Status means active, inactive. It will show active, inactive. That is enum. Only active and active. Boolean means yes or no, it will show. Okay. Either you can use pick list also, not a problem here. Foundation objects means if you are linking this object to linking the field to the foundation object. Generic object, Generic object means if you are linking the field to the generic object. For example, I'll be showing you. Now let us take an example. For example, you can see here foundation object and generic object here. Pay group is generic object, which is configured in instance itself. Generic object is nothing but MDF object. Default location is nothing but foundation object. Now, in practical, I will show you. In this object which we have created, division, I want a field called cost center. Cost center is a what we say MDF object, which is generic object. I have explained you in detail in the classes. Basically, what are the cost center, what are the MDF objects and foundation objects. Through that you can refer. But I want here a field called cost center. In that, all the values which cost center already configured in the system, I want those values. Individually, I can't able to update in the pick list and assign it here. It will take a lot of time. But I want ready-made cost center values, all the which are there in the system. What I'll be doing? I'll be just mentioning. I will go to configure object definition. I'll go to configure object definition and see what is the cost center code basically. Just concentratedly listen this. This is very important. In case in real time, it will be very much helpful. So you have to only focus on this code, cost center. Now I want one more field like cost center. So what I'll be doing, first I'll be going to that subdivision, ITC subdivision, which I have configured here. Then for creating a field, where we have to go, take action, make correction. Okay. Now come down. As you can see, there are certain MDF related fields are generated. As I have told, right? There are system generated fields which are not visible. It is required, but so we should not concentrate on those fields. So this is the three things which is visible. With and then next I'm just coming wherever the next field we are just configuring. It is the custom field. So I want cost center. So let me just enter. Code should be without spaces. Just remember cost center. As I've created sub-department division, I want to assign subdivision to cost center. It may be possible. So like write any length of the field or anything, or for safe side, let me just again mention 255. Now cost center is a generic object, MDF object. So I'm selecting the data type generic object. Got it? Cost center is a MDF object. Okay. Now detail I am selecting. Valid. What is valid source? Okay. We have selected generic object. System will ask what generic object you want to link it over here. Then we have to go to cost center object, configure object definition, cost center code basically. Don't write anything over there. Whatever any object you are linking as a field to any other object, custom object, you have to only concentrate on code. That's the reason codes are very important, and you have to never mess up with the standard codes. All the wherever it is linked, any associations code will be linked, all will be corrupted. It will just vanish, means it will just corrupt the system. So in real time, never ever touch any standard codes. Custom codes you can create of your own, but don't touch the standard codes, because with this code only the linking is done, everything. So you have to copy and paste it over here. Okay. And then all these are not required actually. You can just mention whether it is required or not. Yes or no, you can mention. If it is optional, no. If it is required field, you can mention yes. And then I'm mentioning here cost center. Now what we are doing, we are configuring a custom field which is linked to the object, generic object, custom field. Already the cost center is a generic object. It is a complete object. We are making that object as a field in subdivision. Okay. That's what we are doing. So this is the process. Not only this, if you want to link any other generic or foundation object, this is the process. I'm just translating here. And then I'm keeping on done. Generic object is done. Okay, fine. Let us just save it. Now you can able to go here and refresh the changes. Cost center field came. If you want to just make action, you can decide which cost center it is linked to. There is nothing with India, so you can configure the cost center and link it as well, or else leave it. Basically, configure cost field configuration is not there. Manage data में value enter करे तो you will be getting here. If suppose IN से कुछ है क्या? Okay. I have. Yeah.
Nice. क्या बोलेगा
10 बजे तक occupied हो. हाँ. Okay. So enter any cost center, doesn't matter. And save it. Okay. Got it?
Yes.
So like this, you can create. These are already created. These are the MDF objects. Cost center come under org structure only. Cost center and business unit, legal entity, division, etc. So if I want to create any custom field, for example, another custom field, the same process, I'll be just taking action, make correction. And suppose I'm just making function. Suppose now I'll be linking foundation object, for example, location. Now I'm just mentioning this, let it be the same. Now which data type I have to select? Foundation object or generic object?
Foundation object.
Yes, very good. Foundation object, details, and then here location का क्या रहेगा value? Don't go in instance and check anything because location is a XML object. So what you have to do? You have to just search for Notepad++. Already latest it will show, like latest say version, it will show Notepad++. Just click this. By opening last saved only, we have saved in Notepad++. That same thing it will open. Here location you can find. Don't take this. This is label. Whatever the ID is mentioned right here. Generic object we have mentioned code, right? This code. This is here. The code is ID that you have to copy and paste it here. Okay, location. Don't paste anything. just paste here. If at all L is capital, if you just write location also, instead of small letter you write capital letter, or any spaces are there, then also it will not work. So simply go copy ID and paste it here, nothing else. Okay, and then you have to just mention here label, you can write anything, location or locational, anything. Yes, done. And I'll be saving this. Got it? Very simple. If you want to make any other objects, either foundation or generic, as a field in another custom object, this is the way you are linking it. Okay, understood?
Yes, sir.
Now here location is created. Now I will be make correction. Location. Let me say Hyderabad. Kuch hai. Hyderabad is there. I'm just selecting this. Save it. Simple. This is how you have to handle it. Now there are different data types. For example, auto number is there. Those are tried of your own. You can able to get it easily. For example, requirement है कि any object name you have to mention, like create a custom object function. Okay, so how you will be creating custom, same like location, I'll be mentioning function 255, anything length, but string means auto, but here you are wanting auto number. User will not update it, it will be auto number generated. Okay, then I'll be selecting auto number, and then details mein what I'm mentioning, details mein I'll be mentioning visibility as read only, because if it is auto number, no need to make the user to edit it. Okay, so I'll be mentioning read only, and here function I'm just mentioning done, and then I'm just saving it. So just remember, data type string means alphanumeric. You can type ABCD 1 2 3. Number means only number. So you have to mention the data type. If you understand the data type, you can play it around it. Okay. See, function came. If I want to edit it, it is not editable. Suppose I will be mentioning is EC के जगह employee central कुछ लिख के save कर दिया. Then any random number will be generated. This is what auto number is. Okay. So based on the data type, you can create a number of things. So you can just make it visible and all. So there are various data types over here in object definition. You can see strings. I have told you, right? String means generally we'll be using this string, date and all. Data source we have not yet used, but yes, you can try it. Basically date, time, decimal means enum means active, inactive, only two. Instead of that, you can even assign a pick list also over here. Pick list, you can assign string I have told you. Alphanumeric. Translatable means if anything is translatable, basically I have told you the globe symbol, right? Now this what we say, for this configure object definition only, function को मैं क्या करूंगा, translatable डालूंगा, and then details में I'll make it editable. then see what will happen. Yes. Now if I go to manage data, globe आया symbol. Now मैं इधर
Yes.
लिखूंगा function HR admin for example. Now इसको मैं कॉपी करके, so this is how you have to edit it. globe में डाल के HR admin करके डन करके सेव कर दिया. Okay, this is how you can play it around basically. Very interesting and very क्या बोलते हैं, कॉन्सेप्ट बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग रहेगा, प्रैक्टिस करने में मजा भी आएगा. सो यू कैन जस्ट प्ले, create any custom object, create any name, either you can say subdivision, instead of subdivision create any ITC sub department custom field. You can just add as many fields, try the data types basically, how it will be used and all. Just play it around and let me know if you are having any queries in our next class tomorrow. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So tomorrow we'll be covering data types and all. तो हो गया. We'll be creating a simple structure like this. If अगर ये समझ में आया तो try of your own legal entity पहले create करो. Associations I will tell you, don't try associations. Legal entity create करके ITC group, business unit, independent objects, manage data से create करो. Department, subdivision तो मैं create कर दिया. ये 4 try to create it. Let me know if you are having any doubts. Like I have created subdivision in manage data. Don't go to configure object definition. Values you have to create in here only. Manage data. So what are the mandatory things? Every field update करने की जरूरत नहीं है. Mandatory things जो है वो update कर दो. बस requirement क्या है? Business unit code और name, division code और name, department code और name. Rest is up to you whether you can you will be updating or काफी fields रहेंगे because these are the standard objects, right? So मैंडेटरी फील्ड्स कम रहेंगे इसमें. मैनेज डाटा जैसा कि मैं सैंपल में लीगल एंटिटी बताया ना, फॉर एग्जांपल लीगल एंटिटी इज देयर. Update this code. What are the mandatory fields? Concentrate on this forget about this about us and all. ये भी मैंडेटरी करे. किसी ने, कोई स्टूडेंट ने, दिस इज नॉट अ स्टैंडर्ड फील्ड एक्चुअली, कोई स्टूडेंट ने बैकएंड में मैंडेटरी करके प्रैक्टिस के लिए ऐसा करा है. तो your task is, if you can remove this about us mandatory and about company Anil, Ashok Enterprises, ये सब कस्टम है फील्ड्स, इनका मैंडेटरी सिंबल हटाओ. देखते हैं कैसा करोगे आप. ओके.
Okay.
कॉन्फ़िगर ऑब्जेक्ट डेफिनेशन में इनका मैंडेटरी सिंबल हटाओ, ये स्टार सिंबल हटाओ. मैं बता चुका हूँ ना कि मैंडेटरी यस नो कैसा करते हैं और just let me know if you understood the topic or not. So इन सबका मैंडेटरी सिंबल हटाओ. ये सब, ये जो लास्ट के है ना, अबाउट अस, अबाउट कंपनी अनिल, ये वो, इनका मैंडेटरी सिंबल हटाओ. देखते हैं कैसा हो. ओके.
Okay, sir.
ओके चलो फिर कल मिलते हैं न्यू टॉपिक. ओके.
Okay, sir.
राइट.
Okay. Bye, sir.
बाय.